Hello, everyone. We have so much great information to share that I do want to get started, and we'll allow participants to come on board to this great webinar hour. Again, my name is Gemmell. I'm the founder of FutureWorks Alliance Philadelphia. And last year, for a number of years now, I've wanted to make it more clear for the public about the tech training options that exist. We have an amazing group of stakeholders in our ecosystem producing great outcomes for people who want to pivot into technology careers. And we also have a lot of great tech companies that want to grow, large and small companies that want to grow and scale their business, and they need that talent. So the goal of today's third in a series is to create videos from the leadership of distinct tech training programs that are available to people of all ages in our region, so that we can then build a video library on our website and promote that video library to the public as a resource for helping them to decide. I write a column at the Philadelphia Citizen about future-proofing the region and getting future ready as a person or a company. And one of the columns I recently wrote was about questions to ask when you're considering a tech training entity. And of course, cost is always top of mind. The time that it takes, the time in your week and the time out of your life that it would take, what certificates you have at the end of it, what is the diversity of the programs, what are the outcomes, how do the programs help the graduates, what employers do they work with? And so that column is up at the Philadelphia Citizen, and it's helped drive the preparation and the thinking around this event. And our panelists are going to answer a majority of those questions, I'm sure, because they're all very high quality tech training programs. But before we get started on that, I want to introduce Surinder Sharma. Each of these series begins with a person who is working in the tech industry. And of course, they have their own personal career journey. I have the great pleasure of serving on the advisory board with Surinder Sharma and a number of other amazing people for the company Smart Kidz Club, which is really breaking ground, frankly, at the intersection of mobile consumption, digital tools in the palm of parents' hands to enhance early literacy, which is near and dear to my heart. So without much more fuss, I would like to remind everyone to put their questions in the chat. We will take questions throughout this event and at the end of every presentation. So please put your questions in the chat as we go. We're monitoring that. And then I want to kick it off to Surinder. Surinder Sharma is passionate about reading. She's the founder of Smart Kidz Club, and she has 20 years of experience in publishing and in the IT industry. She's incredibly passionate about reading and about changing the trajectory of children's lives by giving them greater access to skill building around early literacy with an amazing library that is majority nonfiction, incredible. She's published 20 of the books on that app. So I'm going to turn it over to Surinder and let you hear about her really amazing journey and story and recent success with Smart Kidz Club. Surinder?
Thanks, Anne, for inviting me to open this session, and good afternoon to everyone. It's a rainy day in Philadelphia, but I hope my journey is going to make it a little more interesting. So from a child who loved to read to an edtech founder and CEO, the one thing we can all agree that has evolved rapidly more than anything else is technology. I was born in New Delhi, which is the capital of the world's most populous democracy, India. 1.5 years later, my father passed away, and I was brought up by a single mother who was a primary grade teacher throughout her career. As the only child without any distractions, yes, we did not have TVs when I was as a child. I loved two things: to read books and to sketch, draw, and paint. The technologies at that time in homes were rotary phones and newly popular color TVs. In my high school, when most students in India take up medicine, engineering, or commerce, I decided to pursue the non-medical stream that involved computer science. This was the time when computers and IT were beginning to gain popularity. In my graduate school, I studied economics, and as the dot-com bubble was getting bigger and bigger, I decided to take a dive into courses in IT and systems management on the side, just out of curiosity. For my master's, I completed business administration, specialized in marketing, after which I was hired by the Indian Ministry of Information Technology to work in central government's Apex IT organization. So internet at that time was rapidly connecting the world, and my organization was digitizing all the government's regional and local offices with internet connectivity. And that was the first time I was introduced to new technology like VSATs and voice over IP satellite phones, and I was very excited. 2001 brought me to Delaware, USA, from Delhi to Delaware. The Y2K bubble popped, and that led me and my life partner to establish a new business. And we started our entrepreneurial journey together. We started a company that offered publishing services to academic and textbook publishers and grew it successfully. Over the 15-20 years in publishing, we worked with most of the major medical publishers that included F.A. Davis and Philly. This is when I witnessed how print publishing and content consumption gradually was transforming into online and finally mobile. The new tech buzzwords were mobile and apps, with newer and smarter devices being introduced each year. Children were getting hooked on to video games on their devices, and they were reading less and less paper books. A pain point for most parents, including myself. That time, my second son was around three years old. Content consumption moved toward high-tech mobile space. And that is when Smart Kidz Club was born, to provide easy access to an educational library of original enhanced ebooks for young children by using the power of digital technology. I wanted kids to have books to read on their devices. From rotary phones to smartphones, mobile tech wearables, and now AI, technology has and is rapidly changing the world today. It is at the core of every experience. We've heard about EdTech, health tech, fintech, MarTech. There is tech in everything, even how you schedule a haircut with your salon. As a logical deduction, the most demand now and in the future will be of tech talent. Smart Kidz Club, as an EdTech company, uses tech and tech talent across all our functions, right from app design, development, maintenance, app distribution, data storage, data security, cybersecurity, data analysis, you name it, SEO, ASO. From my experience and my journey, there are three mindsets that I believe are critical for a successful and productive future of work in this rapidly changing scenario. And it is relevant for both employees and employers. Number one and most important is think global. Future of work is global, and technology has connected us as a global community, has made global commerce, cooperation, and working remotely possible. Tech has enabled companies to hire talent from across the world. You must have heard about Airbnb's latest live-in Airbnb initiative, where they are testing working remotely. The second most important is to be flexible. Future of work will need you to be flexible in your work hours, in your thought process, approach to finding solutions, and new ways and modes of working. Especially after the pandemic, there has been a quantum shift in the way we work. It has forced us to evaluate new and innovative ways of working. Old solutions will not work for new problems. Employers will have to be flexible in offering options that are efficient, productive, not only for the bottom line, but also for the employees. Businesses have to be flexible in adapting to the new opportunities and challenges and pivot accordingly. And technology, once again, offers us this flexibility. The third and most important is to keep learning and training. We shouldn't wait for an economic shakeup like the one caused by the pandemic to learn a new skill or follow your interest. Technology and future of work are constantly and rapidly evolving. In order to stay relevant, we need to keep upgrading our skills, either on the job, as an apprentice, or take up an online or in-person course. No matter how insignificant it appears right now, no learning is ever wasted. Now, I'll give you an example of Steve Jobs. He dropped out of regular courses and took a highly rated calligraphy class at college just out of his curiosity and passion. He had no hope of using it or applying it any time in his life. But years later, while designing the Mac computer, he used this to design calligraphy into all Macs. And that's when he said, quote, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." So looking back at my journey, I'm able to connect the dots now. The IT courses, certification that seemed pretty insignificant then proved a critical base skill that I need as a founder and CEO of EdTech company. And I'm still learning every day. There are new technologies, new softwares coming out, which you have to keep learning and adopting in your business. And thankfully, technology, EdTech in particular, has made educating yourself easy and accessible. So clearly, future is tech and tech is the future. Each and every company needs tech to function and survive. This means there is a huge opportunity for tech jobs and talent. Whether you are an entrant or looking for a change, tech training and knowledge are essential. We all need to keep filling these dots to ensure a more productive and successful future. So the three important things: think global, be flexible, and keep learning. That's all from me. Thanks for listening. Today we have a great lineup of presenters who have the answers to all your questions about tech training. Thanks, Anne.
Surinder, thank you so much for sharing all that. Very wise words. And we didn't even get into the Success with Smart Kids Club. That'll be for another event next year. Thank you so much for joining us. Folks who are on this event, you can feel free to drop some questions in the chat for Surinder. She'll be able to stick around a few more minutes. And we need to move along to the, thanks, Surinder. We're going to keep moving to our next panelist. We're so fortunate to get Amy Kardel the very first day after she was recently announced to get a very special and important role in service of our country. Amy Kardel is currently the Strategic Workforce Relationships Leader at CompTIA. She's tuning in from California right now, the day after she was announced by the U.S. Department of Labor to serve on the advisory committee for apprenticeships, along with 28 other people. So very flattered and honored that you made time for us here in Philadelphia. Amy, please take it away. I'm so excited to learn more about all the hard work that you've been doing.
Thanks, Anne. It's a pleasure to be here. And Philadelphia is an important market for tech and an important market for apprenticeship and an important and longstanding relationship that CompTIA has. A lot of you know CompTIA already from our A+ certification. I like to call that the ticket into tech. That's an IT certification that really starts our pathway. And apprenticeship is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So CompTIA is the global trade association for the IT industry, and I'm going to share my screen so you get to see a PowerPoint presentation. All right, I think you're good to go now. We're talking from CompTIA's perspective today about what apprenticeships are in tech. So those integrate a couple of great things that CompTIA already does. That's our relationship with the workforce through industry. We talk about occupations, and we really devise our certifications around job roles. We've spent decades really refining how job roles, what they need to be successful in those job roles. And those tech jobs aren't just in tech companies, they're in all sorts of companies. So if you're looking as a learner to make sure you're viable in the marketplace, really look to CompTIA certifications like the A+ and then up through our stack. And our website at comptia.org has lots of information for people who are seeking careers in tech. And as an employer, that's a place to look to validate those skills. So with our work with industry to see what skills are needed, we also look at the job market closely, and we track what is needed to make tech occupations that we need to make our economy hum is in place. So apprenticeship brings those two things together because we're bringing together the job and the learning. So this initiative launched in 2021 mid-year, and it's called CompTIA Apprenticeships for Tech. And I want to tell you about what we're doing for apprenticeships to support others that are doing apprenticeships and to support our industry. And let's march through this. It'll be really good for us both to talk about what is a registered apprenticeship. Well, a registered apprenticeship is a learn by doing, earn and learn opportunity. Now, everyone says that sounds great. It's an apple pie type prospect, and registering it is with the Department of Labor because that's what triggers some quality measures as well as some benefits for both the employer and the apprentice. Because let's not forget, apprenticeship is a job; it's a trainee job. That's important because it's an organized work by learning training scheme that helps companies and pulls in certifications like CompTIA certifications. So here's some things that everyone needs to know. Apprenticeships are jobs and they are paid hires from an employer. Now, it takes a special employer to want to grow and train staff, but what a great employer that is because they're investing in talent and in return they get loyalty and they get the talent they need. Apprenticeships programs provide that on-the-job learning plus classroom instruction. That's called technical instruction in apprenticeship language. And that on-the-job learning is conducted in the setting of the work and in context. So that mentor on the job is really the secret sauce. Companies find that volunteers who volunteer to be mentors benefit as much as the person they're training. And in fact, if you think about it, when someone asks, why do you do it like that? As someone who's been doing something for a while, you have to really know what you're talking about. And it builds your relationships and your skills as well as a mentor. And it results as an apprentice in a nationally recognized portable credential. Not only do you earn the certifications like the A+ certification through your pathway from CompTIA, you earn a credential that you've completed an apprenticeship from the Department of Labor. So why would we want to do this? The case is really built on many points that I'll go into now. The labor market is tight and will remain tight for these in-demand, high-paying, and upwardly mobile pathways. These pain points persist, and we're finding no matter if we turned on every opportunity to train for tech jobs, the market for the jobs won't be satisfied. So we really want to be more inclusive and tap into talent, people who are retraining from other industries, especially due to pandemic displacement. We want to find more diverse talent that's not usually seen in tech, women, people of color. We're open to vets entering after their service to our country. And we want to do this in a way that encourages confidence. And we find that a lot of times new entrants into tech have a lot of myths to bust, like, oh, you have to be really good at math. Well, not really. I think a lot of us in tech took calculus. Most of us never used it. It's kind of a myth to bust. There's certainly some roles that have that skill, but a lot of the tech jobs don't. And of course, for employers, they want to have a positive return on their investment and see that they get the talent they need. So what is the difference really between an internship and an apprenticeship? Well, this slide goes into that in great detail and also talks about co-ops, but I think the biggest takeaway is apprenticeships are jobs that lead to jobs and ROI for companies because the conversion rate to hire is 90+%, whereas with an internship, it's under half the people stay and actually take a job. And also it's something that's open to people who, apprenticeship is open to people who don't have a university degree, who may have the wrong university degree to get into a career. And it can also be used with incumbent workforce, whereas internships and co-ops are really specifically aimed at university students. And of course, that leads to a more diverse type of apprentice, and that's what businesses are looking for. And oftentimes, that's exactly the folks that need that earn and learn opportunity. So we like to talk about how important that is and finding that diverse talent. So who makes a good partner for apprenticeships? Important for us to think through here. The like I said, as someone looking for a job, you should be looking for an employer who's going to invest in you. And we like to say that the ideal partner is an employer or an intermediary, and some of those I'll be in the library as well, that's willing to consider talent development solutions. So they're looking to train, and they have a problem filling the jobs that we're training for in our pathways, and they want to do that with diversity. So always look for an employer willing to train when you're looking for a job. And the occupations that we're developing national guideline standards for and supporting these companies and nonprofits that are working in this space are the 4 occupations are called tech support specialist, network support specialist, cybersecurity support technician, and tech project coordinator. And our certifications go behind those and really back up those pathways. And we have a long history and data on why those jobs are in demand and how much they pay, and that they have upward mobility. These aren't dead-end jobs, and these aren't jobs that are going to be offshored, because we want to see people unlock their potential and start a career in tech and stay in tech and advance. So what are the benefits to a student if you get into an apprenticeship program? Well, unlike school, where you're in the classroom, it's disconnected from the workplace, you're actually earning and learning at the same time, which of course reduces any school debt, ends up with recognized credentials, and increases your value on the job market. And that those workplace relevant skills are in occupations that are in high demand. And that creates a solid foundation for a career path, not just a job. And we can see people advancing in different ways from these entry-level pathways. Now, if you're a business tuned in, why would you want to do this? Well, you probably know how hard it is to find skilled talent, and this can create a diverse pool of workers today and talent that has high retention. That will, of course, improve your productivity and bottom line, because the talent solution needs to be predictable and scalable, and gives the right skills to the right workers at the right time. Now, you do reap what you sow. You have to set these things up and harvest a crop. It doesn't happen instantly, but it is predictable that this will move forward for you. And we know that we need to keep pace with industry change, and we have the ability to customize training to do that through an apprenticeship. So the occupations that were talked about earlier really are highlighted on this slide. You can see the job openings across the panel here in each of the 4 occupations, and the salaries. And it's interesting, some of these areas pay higher, but then you have to think about, okay, what's your progression from tech support specialist into IT project coordinator, for example. You can see that these are stackable, and based on someone's aptitude, skills, and interest, these can be more people jobs, or these could be more behind the scenes jobs. These can be jobs, like I said, in any industry. These aren't just in tech companies. So we like to think of IT as a horizontal and also as a vertical. So I think that's important to keep in mind. If you're into fashion, this is a job that's going to be available for you in industries related to fashion, for example, but it's also absolutely available in a tech company. So how can we work together? We'd like you to connect with us. We want to find employers who want to fill these jobs. Those could be those tech companies, those could be those solution providers, or tech jobs in another sector like banking. We want to talk to workforce nonprofits to support and train community colleges, workforce boards, and we'll help provide resources to scale these occupations. We're working to make sure it's easy to create apprenticeship programs and keep them up to date with what industry needs, because that's what we monitor so closely. Now, I said we're here to help. We want you to know that we have these national guideline standards for employers and organizers. Setting up a program is easy, and we want you to leverage our brand and network to make your program stronger and better. If you're a learner and want to know more, we encourage you to visit our website. There's a link here. We have a getting started guide for employers. We also have a shorter program flyer also on this link, and there's some buttons you can click and express your interest, and we'll reach back out to you to get you more information. We also encourage anyone who's interested in apprenticeship to visit apprenticeship.gov. That's a website maintained by the U.S. Department of Labor that talks about apprenticeship in all its forms, not just in tech. So these earn and learn opportunities oftentimes are shoehorned into the trades. People might know them from electricians and plumbers, but they certainly are a big piece of what's possible in new collar jobs, not just blue collar jobs. And we want to make sure people know about it and really know that, gosh, if you can earn and learn as a young person or transitioning person, and see that you have upward mobility in a company starting with that, what a difference it can make in your earning potential and your advancement in your career. I think there's some stigma attached to apprenticeships versus four-year schools, but absolutely there's place in tech for everyone, and a four-year degree is not at all required. So please take a look at apprenticeship as an opportunity. And thank you so much, Anne, for having us come and speak today from CompTIA Apprenticeships for Tech.
My pleasure, Amy. There would be a lot of applause right now if we were in an in-person room. I'm so excited that CompTIA has leaned into this space, and I want to open the floor for questions. If there's any questions from the audience, please type them into the chat. We will have a few minutes now and also at the end. So I don't see any right now. So, and we are like, it's a tight hour, but thank you so much. I do have, we have a question here in the chat from Don.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So what is the advantage of an apprenticeship over an internship? I think that's a really important one to talk about because a lot of times people know what an internship is, much more familiar than apprenticeship. Well, the key thing for a learner is it's longer. It's more tied to a specific job, and it is a job. So it bridges smoothly into full-time employment, and it is full-time employment versus an internship was a chance to kind of sniff around, get some exposure, go back to school and take that with you. The internship is the job, and that's a huge difference. We have another question too about what requirements are for apprenticeships. So they vary. It depends on the employer and it depends on the program we're coming into. So their high school diploma may or may not be required. Some things are virtual. Most things are probably in person though. And when we talk specifics and you look at our programs that we're working with, you'll see a lot more detail about that. We're also excited to just announce that Drexel University is coming on board in your neighborhood with apprenticeships as well. But certainly not everything's tied to a university or even a four-year degree. So very flexible on all those requirements. The idea is that there's a place in tech for everyone.
Thank you, Amy. Well said. Appreciate the questions as well. So let me introduce John Colburn. John is so modest, like he doesn't even let anyone in Philadelphia know what an amazing journey he's had. He just modestly moves around our ecosystem as the chief operating officer at Jevs Human Services, which is a multifaceted social services nonprofit in the Philadelphia region. And not that many people know that he was also the leader of Skills for America's Future program at the Aspen Institute and also served as the VP of operations at the Ford Foundation. So when I first entered workforce development, work a few years ago, someone said, well, you have to meet with John. You're like, just see if he'll have coffee with you. And he did. He was like, and I was thrilled, right? So we had this great conversation. And then I said, we should do this again. And he said, without even missing a beat, he's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's just schedule quarterly coffees. I'd be happy to help you navigate, the world of workforce development. So I'm always so grateful to John for a lot of his mentorship and ideas, and I really admire your thought leadership as well. So I'm really glad that you're here today to talk about Jevs and the things that they provide in our tech training ecosystem in the region. So take it away.
Well, thanks so much. I thank you for that introduction. I love hearing that. And I just want to thank you for all you've done to sort of set the table in these conversations and really advancing the notion of a deliberate and thoughtful workforce development strategy in the region. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the work that Jevs Human Services does in the information technology area. Jevs is as Ann said, a multifaceted human services organization. We have a lot of different programs on, and including in the IT area, we have not just one, but several different programs. So I'm going to try and lay those out in just a couple of minutes here. And I also want to thank Amy for her great introduction to CompTIA and to apprenticeship, because apprenticeship and CompTIA certifications are definitely at the heart of a number of the activities that Jevs Human Services is involved in. So let me just say quickly about Jevs that the information technology training area is a complicated ecosystem. There are many different players that operate in different ways, and I think for people seeking training and employers seeking workers, it's often hard to think about how you navigate that ecosystem. So I thought I would just start by saying, what is it that Jevs does in the talent ecosystem for information technology? And really, there's four things we do. We help expose younger people to tech careers and technology, and set them on a pathway for accessing further training, and accessing jobs in the information technology sector. We are a sponsor of what's called a group apprenticeship, which means that employers who don't want to go through the work of registering their own apprenticeship can work with us and take advantage of the apprenticeship program that we have registered with the state. We were actually the first IT apprenticeship group model in the state of Pennsylvania. We work on something called pre-apprenticeship, which is really helping people get ready for apprenticeship. We have a registered pre-apprenticeship program. We're one of the largest offers of pre-apprenticeship training in the state of Pennsylvania. And then finally, and really critically, because of the complexity of the ecosystem and because Philadelphia has so many high quality providers and actors in the ecosystem, we really view ourselves as wanting to collaborate and help organize the system with other IT trainers, training programs and intermediaries. Won't go through in detail on this slide, but we really think of ourselves as organizing careers, leveraging the expertise that Jevs holds widely in workforce development and putting that to work in information technology. We think as employers and tech firms are looking for a more diverse workforce, that we are in a unique position to be able to connect employers with diverse workforce, non-traditional workforce. We really see ourselves as working to integrate national resources for regional benefit, and then finally working with employers to make sure that we're offering solutions to them. At our best, and we're not always at our best, but at our best, we really see ourselves as providing people from diverse backgrounds an opportunity to navigate a set of training opportunities and experiences that connects them to jobs. And here's 5 examples of people who have worked through different program offerings at Jevs Human Services, have been able to do that successfully, land with apprenticeships or jobs with technology employers. Life is complicated and it never seems to quite conform to these neat little diagrams with arrows and boxes. But as a framework, or at least as a concept, we really think of our work as offering this career exposure, foundational skills, which I described before as pre-apprenticeship, leading to certifications. We're heavy endorsers and reliers on the CompTIA certification system, and then leading to entry-level professional roles through apprenticeship. And when everything works right, that's what we seek to do. And you can see in this instructional pathway, there are multiple places for people to join us, depending on what their circumstances are, and many ways for people to leave us successfully. It doesn't have to be straight through our pathway. There are off-ramps to employment and other educational opportunities throughout this pipeline. So let me just walk you through a couple of the offerings that we have in this space. And I want to start with employer engagement because that's really a critical need for the information technology sector and a critical need for the complexity of the ecosystem, talent ecosystem in the region. So we certainly see ourselves as helping to organize industry champions who are interested in connecting to and promoting talent development in information technology. We're actually working with some of the formal workforce development system that have partnership structures that bring together information technology employers. We're very honored to be working with the Philadelphia Youth Network under a grant from JPMorgan Chase to help map and organize the IT talent ecosystem and help make sure that employers are able to connect to that in multiple ways. And critically, as with any training provider, we really see ourselves as building that powerful value proposition that makes sure that employers have access to a diverse and capable talent pool to enable them to get the work done. In the technology training area, we really focus on that career exposure and foundational skills entry-level technical skills. So Jevs is probably not the place to come to get your full stack, advanced technology training. We really view ourselves as an on-ramp to some of the further education and training, and to apprenticeship, where you can learn those skills on the job. And when we do all this right, our hope is that we are helping job seekers reduce the barriers to completion. Always a challenge in information technology training is that people start but aren't able to finish for a whole variety of reasons. We support student transitions from one training program to the next, or from one training program to employment. And then, as the diagram suggested, we really work on the assumption that there are going to be multiple entry and exit points in the services that we provide. In the area of certification, we're really excited to be able to announce that under a grant from the Department of Labor, we're going to be working with Jobs for the Future, a national workforce development organization, and with CompTIA to launch something called the Rapid IT Training and Employment Initiative. We call it READY. READY will utilize a tool that CompTIA has developed called mentored learning. And this is really a tool that blends online training with in-person tutoring workshops and individual coaching, all with the objective of getting people to those core certifications and that A+ certification, as Amy said, that on-ramp to technology careers. This program will also offer some Google certifications. And I should say that we are actually very excited about not only providing this for participants in some of our career exposure and IT fundamentals programs, but also working with other providers throughout the region to be able to make this tool available to them. And then finally, I just want to say a word or two about apprenticeship. Amy's stolen all my thunder in terms of describing why apprenticeship makes sense. It is, as someone has said, the college without the debt. It is a way to get your education and earn a paycheck at the same time. It is a way to have organized skill building that's tied to the needs of your employer, and that it benefits from that all-important mentoring work that Amy talked about. And so, we offer this group apprenticeship opportunity for employers in the region, and welcome inquiries from people who are interested in that apprenticeship as apprentices. And so finally, I'll just say, for more information, if you're interested in pre-apprenticeship, we have a form on our website. You can see the link there. If you're interested in our Ready program, no website yet because we're just getting it launched. But on this call, Mohammed Gashat is with us, and he's our program manager for this work. So feel free to reach out to him by email. And if you're interested in apprenticeship, particularly if you're a company interested in exploring apprenticeship, please go to the URL on our website, and we'd be happy to follow up with you and explore how that might be a solution for you. And that's really all I have to say. So I'll turn it back to Anne, and we can do any question and answer that folks have.
Thanks, John. Since you have a great staffer in the chat and attending, I would like them to just direct the questions so that we can preserve time for Pascalis.
I totally get that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we have to make up a little bit of time. And also I want to assure all the attendees, everyone who registered will get the recording, and we will also be editing each section of today's event according to the presenter, and having distinct 12 or 15-minute videos on our website shortly. So I'm really excited to introduce our next presenter. So again, please, if you have questions for Jevs, direct them to the chat, and Mohammed or John will pick them up in the, I'm sorry, I mispronounced your staffer's name. Yeah, no, I said it okay. Okay, Mohammed or John will pick up the questions in the chat. So I want to pivot right now and go to Nikki Pumphrey. Nikki Pumphrey is currently the managing director of Pascalis. Pascalis has been a best kept secret, I think, for a while. And I think that Nikki's leadership here in the Philadelphia region is going to change that They have been working with employers for a long time in the region, a few years now at least. And the managing director role that Nikki has just taken up really is perfect for her passion at the intersection of creating a more equitable and inclusive regional economy and talent pool. Prior to her role at Perscalis, Nicole was deputy director at the Welcoming Center, and that served New Pennsylvanians. And as Surinder indicated, we do need to think globally, and we do need to create, pathways for everyone, immigrant and native-born Philadelphians, regional citizens, to develop their talent. So I think it's just great to make that, career transition from working to support immigrants into tech training, natural transitions. So Nikki, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you should hopefully be able to share your screen. And again, we'll be sending the recording out, and we'll stay a little bit longer than 4:30. But if you have to go, just leave your question in the chat, and we'll try to get you in touch with the presenter so that you can get your questions answered. Nikki?
Thanks, Ann. It's really an honor to be here, and it sounds like we're both looking to John Colburn as a mentor in the past. So as Ann said, my name is Nikki Pumphrey, and I'm the managing director of Perscalis here in Philadelphia. And it's really an honor to be here with everyone today. As Ann shared, really committed to economic mobility here in the city and racial equity. And one of the reasons that I was so honored to join Perscalis is that at the core of this organization, it's exactly what's happening and what they've committed themselves to as well. So I want to share a little bit with you all today about who we are and what we're about. And as Ann said, really looking to try to change the fact that I think we are a very well-kept secret here in Philadelphia, but we need more people to know about the great work that we can do with them. So as Surinder said, tech is everywhere, talent is everywhere, but unfortunately opportunity is not, and there's often a disconnect between opportunity and access to that opportunity. We know that tech is growing throughout the US. There are more than 2.4 million tech jobs that are creating really great pathways into thriving wages for folks, if only they could access those opportunities. And so Perscalis is really aimed at changing that. And also looking to create a more equitable tech workforce that really reflects the cities in which tech is growing. And certainly Philadelphia is no exception. So we know that a thriving workforce starts with equitable access to education. And Perscalis is doing this by providing free skills training and access to employer networks for individuals that are interested in making technology their career path. So in Philadelphia specifically, technology services is growing faster than any other target. But we know that it will depend on the region's ability and employers in this region to be able to retain those jobs and to really be able to create access to those on-ramps to wealth building for more and more folks. We have to match the talent demand with the talent that exists here in Philadelphia. And overall, despite the fact that our tech workforce is growing, it is not growing equitably, nor is it really reflecting the diversity that it needs to in order to create access to opportunity for more Philadelphians. So what is Perscalis doing to combat this inequity? We here, we're advancing economic equity, and we're doing that through systems level change. And I want to share a little bit about that. So we're preparing individuals that are traditionally underrepresented in technology for high growth careers, women, people of color in particular. And we're doing that by both partnering with our learners and with employers alike. I want to share with you what that looks like for us. We're investing in our learners, we're investing in our employers, and we're offering tuition-free training, tech skills and business knowledge alike, so that our learners are not just connecting to jobs, but they're really establishing careers for themselves in the technology sector. We're providing wraparound services that I'll go into in a little bit more depth. And we're working with alumni for up to 2 years after they graduate our programs to ensure that they become technologists, if that is really what they want to do. So national impact, what has that meant for Proscolis in the 25 years that we've been looking at economic equity? And we've trained more than 14,000 learners. Our graduates are really finishing our programs, they're connecting to employment, and we're finding that graduates are making more than 4 times their wage than they started. And in Philadelphia, that looks like our average pre-Proscolis wage is about $11,000, and then connecting to a wage that's more than $41,000 a year. So it's really making a difference. And as I mentioned before, systems level change. We've got a national footprint. We're in 17 cities, and we're expanding to 30 in the next couple of years. As well as we are really providing a forum for tech diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations, both through dialogue as well as demonstration, providing forums, providing one-on-one support for companies that are really invested in making sure that their workplaces are equitable in order to invite in more diverse talent. So what's this looking like in Philadelphia? We have had the pleasure of working with 167 learners to date since 2019. So we're new, we're a little bit of a secret, as Anne said, but we're trying to change that because we're seeing our students graduate at a high rate, because we're supporting them through the process, because we're making sure that they're set up for success. And they're starting, we're working with 28 different employers in this region. And our courses are really reflecting the diversity that is in Philadelphia. So 82% of our learners are people of color, and about 1/3 are women. So how are we doing this? Providing course offerings that I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. But in general, our courses are about 12 to 15 weeks. They're pretty intense, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. And in Philadelphia, we're offering information technology and IT support and user desktop support, and we'll be offering cybersecurity in the near future. Like I said before, our learner support team is really a key to our success. And I think this is particularly important. And I wanted to make sure I mentioned this. We are connecting both learners and alumni to in-house resources and external partnerships to ensure that they are well, that they are finding work-life balance, and that they are building wealth. And that is critically important to us. So from financial coaching to crisis management, we are working to make sure that not only our learners can access the opportunities that we're providing and the employment that follows, but that they're persisting and that they're able to overcome the barriers that exist in life that may present themselves. So what's next for us? Are you interested in becoming a technologist? Because starting November 15th, we are offering, again, our end user desktop support course. And like I said, 12-week intensive training course, and no existing requirements. You will be getting that CompTIA A+ certification. And we're connecting folks to positions like network engineer, help desk support at about $16 to $21 an hour. And like I said, we are partnering with both our learners as well as externally. So we could not do this work alone. I wanted to mention in particular Comcast NBC Universal. They're a founding partner with us in Philly in particular and across the country, as well as Proscolis is now working very closely with their talent team. So more to come on that. So in Philadelphia, like John mentioned and like Amy mentioned, we're really looking to expand and strengthen our local network of community and employer partners. And we do that as part of the ecosystem, partnering with Jevs and with CompTIA to make sure that we are both relevant as well as connecting and building those bridges and those on-ramps for anyone who's interested in this pathway. And finally, and that looks like, hiring our graduates, volunteering with us, and really, if a customized solution is something that someone's interested in, that's part of our work. Because as I said, we're really invested in systems level data-driven change. And that happens certainly in partnership with all of our employers here in Philadelphia. And last but not least, the photo that isn't showing, but might. It's really important that we are also doing the work to highlight and uplift the voices of our graduates. And so can't show a video here today, but I'll provide a link in the chat. Lachey Coakley, one of our recent graduates, was part of an Inquire Future of Work event. And it's really worth taking a look so that you can hear her story and her journey, because I could never do it justice here today. And this is information, how to apply, how to get in touch, and I'll provide my information as well.
Nicole, thank you so much. Really appreciate that presentation. It was really so concise and on point and very useful. We have a question in the chat from, I believe, Leanna Cumberbatch. Are the per scholas trainings paid trainings, like an apprenticeship? Like, who bears the cost of the training? It's obviously high quality, but we're curious about how does that work for the trainee?
Yeah, so all of our courses are free for participants, but as you mentioned, Anne, it is a big time commitment. So we often find that graduates are either collecting unemployment or have another sort of side hustle or gig, or are really trying to wait to find the space in their lives to support that. And we know that that is a big barrier, but that's part of our model.
Great, thank you. We have another question in the chat from Ashley Putnam. Hi, Ashley. Are any of the programs today providing training in cybersecurity? I think I saw that in your PowerPoint. This is something we are hearing is a big need in Philadelphia. Yeah, since everyone's working remote and on the cloud, there's a lot more to secure and a lot more backdoors that professional hackers can, exploit. So I think I did see, and any of the panelists can weigh in about cybersecurity. Nicole?
Yeah, so that is, as soon as I joined Perscolas, that was one of the things that I was advocating for, because we have done it in other markets. So I'm really happy to say that we're going to be starting a relationship with Chubb and building an apprenticeship this fall in cybersecurity and piloting a few things. And then we will be starting enrollment for cybersecurity in 2022. We know it is a huge growth area for Philly, and we've also seen the demand for it.
That's great. And that would also be free, because I know that that's a pretty intensive coursework, and it's pretty advanced. I think that, cybersecurity is another level away from desk support, that there's these pathways that build for people as they develop skills and knowledge in technology. Are there, and I also know, Ashley, that University of Pennsylvania has a partnership with Trilogy. They have a cybersecurity boot camp, but the cost, there's it's not free. There's a cost to that. I think just shy of $20,000 for an equally intensive program. So,
and I'll also add in, Anne, that Perscolas, we're offering that without the requirement of a bachelor's degree. And so making it even more accessible for those with a high school equivalency.
Right. Great. Great. Well, we are at 4:33. Somehow we crossed the finish line within the grace period of where an event should end. If it's supposed to end at 4:30, we are at 4:33. I'm going to leave the chat open and questions open for a few more minutes, but I really want to thank everyone for attending and bringing your expertise, especially our panelists. Thank you so much for giving FutureWorks Alliance Philadelphia the time and the energy to make these great presentations and bring your grace and knowledge to this effort. So third in a series, we'll edit these videos, we'll be posting them on our library. It will create GotTech training guidance with links from all of the PowerPoints in one space. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be doing that. And then next year, we're going to look at apprenticeship all kinds of apprenticeship, not just tech apprenticeship. So we'll be creating series next year, really working to mitigate the cultural barriers that I think still exist between, you know, college pursuit versus apprenticeship and alternative routes. So we all, you know, the different countries have different ideas about how to advance your skills. And I think in this country, there's been a real, you know, love affair with the college degree as like the ultimate goal. And I think that that's going to need to change just so that we can respond to the disruptions and fill all the talent needs and get those talent supply lines strengthened up. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate your time today. We can connect everyone who registered and everyone who attended to the video links shortly. So have a great afternoon and a great rest of your week. Thanks so much for attending, and I will see you soon.